Hi, everybody. Okay. Let's make sure. That looks like the comments are working. Okay, see two people on here. Kathy and Susan and Donna. Good morning, ladies. I didn't see anybody on here, so I wasn't 100% sure. Sorry I'm so close. There's a lot over here. So I will, hold on, let me do something real quick. I will show you what we're doing. So I'm gonna give you a quick show of what everything looks like so you know what we're working with today. Hi Kathy, hi Pam. Happy to see you guys. Happy Wednesday, thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this and I'm gonna back it up a little bit just so you can see what we're doing. And I apologize, it's gonna be a little wobbly. So I just kind of want to show you the setup. So there's gonna be a little bit of movement today. I'm gonna try to keep it as still as possible. But basically, I have my ironing board. Oops, I'm gonna see if I can brace that. So I have my iron, where's my camera? There it is. I have my iron, which is on like 5. Ironing board, wax paper, and a tea towel, okay? So we're gonna do the wax papering part first, and then we'll do the rest of everything else over on the craft table over there. So now you guys get to see like a total behind the scenes of what it looks like here. Look, the floor's clean. That never happens. That's only because I came back from vacation. So what I'm going to end up doing is we're going to do wax paper onto embossing. And then I also cut up some different cardstock. So I'm going to put you back here for a second. Hopefully this isn't too high. No, that's okay. So I have 4 different papers. And the reason I picked 4 is because I wasn't quite sure. Maybe some of you have some of this paper. Maybe some of you don't. So I did 4 different options. So I have 4 pieces. This is Nina 110 pound classic crest solar white paper. So it's a really good white craft paper. It's not a Stampin' Up paper. So full disclosure, so you know. Then I also have 2 pieces of shimmery white paper, 2 pieces of thick whisper white paper. Hi, Alan. Thanks for stopping in. And 2 pieces of glossy white cardstock. Now, you could also use, and I meant to get this out, but I forgot. You could also use photo paper, but I'm not exactly sure how well the photo paper will do because sometimes it doesn't quite hold up as well as glossy. But if you have nothing, you could at least try it. So what we're going to do is we're going to try, and it's a wax resist technique today for our background. And let me grab this one other thing. I kind of thought of a couple other ideas while I was setting up. So we're going to be using the spider web, CobWebs is what it's called, 3D embossing folder. This is a new folder in the holiday catalog. So we're going to use this. And then I have wax paper. I found cheap wax paper. Hold on. Christian, stop yelling. Dinosaur. It's a Dinosaur Wednesday. This is wax paper from the dollar store. It's cheap. You don't need like fancy or expensive. As a matter of fact, I also use this sometimes for the shims for my dies if they're not cutting very well, and the cheap seems to work best. So it's just regular old wax paper. You know, do you hear them in the cheese in the background? Good morning. Good morning from Chi-Town. Thanks for joining, Kathy. Nice to see you. And hi, Sally from Tennessee. Nice to see you as well. So I thought after the fact, I should have called this the crafting from, I was going to say the closet, but I don't know how some people would feel about that, but whatevs. Crafting from the cupboard series, because a couple weeks ago we did the shaving cream, and then we did the, what was the other thing we did? We did shaving cream, We did something else, and now I can't remember what the heck it was. But we're doing everything that's like in the cupboard, stuff that you might have laying around the house. Another one that's a fun one to do that maybe we can do next week is saran wrap, because you can also like put that on and make backgrounds. We did the block. So we're doing like a lot of stuff of things you might just have laying around that you can use. So couple things we're going to need for this, and I should have done this part ahead of time and I didn't, so please forgive me for this. But my iron is very hot. The only thing I have to do is I have to emboss a couple of these. So I'm going to run this through the Big Shot, and I don't want to move it right now from where I have it. Although I'm seeing here a story about Jared being in preschool. Teacher wanted to write him up for roaring like a dinosaur. You know, Christian does that all the time during recess. He's either running around screaming, chasing somebody like a dinosaur, or Star Wars. So both of them are equally loud, especially when you're in a room and he's like in your face doing it. It's ridiculous. But let me grab my regular, one thing I forgot, sorry, and peek at the bookshelf there for a minute. Okay. I forgot my regular, my regular Big Shot platform. So yesterday, and now forward, if you're a demonstrator, you can order the new die cutting machine. I didn't get one because mine still works fine, but I think I'm going to get the mini, which that one isn't coming out yet, so I have to wait a little bit for that one. So this is a 3D folder. So supposedly with these new folders and the new embossing machine, you won't need like all the extra shims and whatnot. So I just want to see if this goes through. What's that? That's the shimmery. You do. I want to put this in, but I don't want to like run it through. So let me just make sure I have the right sandwich, because then I'll run a bunch of these through at the same time. So again, look at all of my lovely relatives there in the background. At least I gave you something to look at. Oh, and here's somebody you might recognize. Here's Fiona Corn. Donna sent her to me. All right, let me pop this in and see if this is working. Nope, that one's too big. Let's see. Is it just one? It's just one. Seems a little flimsy. Nope. Okay, so I want to be able to tell you how to do this, because I know it's kind of frustrating for me too. I think you need the blue plate and the regular base. Let me just run it and see if it goes. Yeah. So if you have still the Big Shot die cutting machine and you have any of the 3D embossing folders that just say Stampin' Up, so it doesn't say Sizzix on it, because you know they parted ways and then they had all this stuff. So any of them, here's one thing though. This is no longer manufactured by Stampin' Up. I don't know if you can buy it somewhere else. Otherwise, you're going to probably have to shim it. So, I'm really sorry. But what we're going to do is, I have my regular Big Shot platform, the 3D folder, and then the blue plate. So, maybe somebody's getting rid of one. There are a lot of buy, sell, trade websites that people are selling things. So, maybe if they got rid of their Big Shot altogether or whatever, maybe they got rid of their blue plate, you might be able to find one. Sometimes places do sell them. And as a matter of fact, hold on real quick, I'm going to tell you. Hopefully this will maybe help somebody. This measures about 3/8 of an inch thick. So just in case if you have to add something to it, that might be the way. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to really quickly, and I'm sorry I didn't do this ahead of time, I'm going to emboss these so we can like sing a song in the background, or you guys can chat amongst yourselves. But basically what we're going to do is I have one, really gives a deep impression too. Oh gosh, you can't see it because of the light. There you go. Look at that. That's really cool. So that one was the Thick Whisper White. Then I'm also going to do one on the Shimmery White, because I don't know what is or isn't going to stick to the wax paper. That's kind of why I'm doing this, because I've not ever done it with anything aside from the glossy cardstock, but I figured now is the time to try. You heard when the new machine comes out, it is coming back. Oh, the blue? I should look in my catalog. That's a good question. So I have Shimmery White. I'm going to try and keep these so they're together. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, I'm going to do one glossy because the glossy is the one that I know does the resist. I'm just kind of assuming if we try these other ones, they might work. And if they don't work, I have other ideas for them too. So thinking about that today though. I was like, I should have called this the Crafting from the Cupboard series. Of all the other stuff. You can really see the detail on the shiny. That's the shiny or the glossy cardstock. So again, you could try photo paper, but I don't know. It doesn't seem to be quite as thick as glossy cardstock. All right, and then finally, this is the, hi Glenda. Nice to see you. Hi, Janet. This is the Nina 110-pound Solar White Classic Crest. So, okay, so we have those 4. So I'm going to put one on each one, and I'm going to just put this out of the way for now. So basically, what we're doing is we are taking wax paper. Now, one thing about the wax paper, you can't really get too many out of one, and when you tend to have the cheaper dollar store wax paper, one side is significantly more shiny. So I'm going to try to do that. So I'm going to do one card on one side, one card on the other. I'm not going to reuse it because it's not that expensive, especially since it's from the dollar store. Maybe you could get more than one out of it, but for the sake of not torturing you and making you watch this longer. And I'm also going to be trying something new next week, and that's more so with my filming. I'm going to try, and I'm going to test it out on something before just randomly going live, but I'm going to try simultaneously doing a YouTube and a Facebook Live at the same time with 2 cameras. So I'm going to give that a shot and see if that works. I don't know if it will or won't, depending on how my camera setup is, but I'm going to give it a shot. So I have 4 sheets, and I have my very, very hot iron. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all this assembled. You definitely want to have, and this is something we ran across last time, so you can also do this technique just with wax paper by crinkling it up. So if you crinkle it up, it'll give it a texture, and then you can iron that onto glossy cardstock. However, if you have a towel like this, so this tea towel has a waffling on it, it gives a weird pattern to it. So if you're doing something like that, you want to try to use a flat tea towel or a flat cloth. So as a matter of fact, I'm going to grab, just for the sake of it, I'm going to grab my, oh my God, I can never remember what these darn things are called. Microfiber. God, I need to like write it on the thing. I'm going to grab my microfiber because this has way less texture to it, and I'm going to use this. So, 2 things. I have a good iron and a like uniform, work uniform, ironing other things iron. So this isn't the good iron. So you might want to be careful, full disclosure, if you have a good iron, and be very careful not to get wax on it. You can certainly iron it off, but that. Number 2, if you're not a grown-up, you shouldn't be ironing by yourself. I just feel like I should say this. A linen towel would work great, Marcia. Yeah, absolutely. But not, like mine has a lot of texture, which that probably wasn't a good idea. So if you're not old enough to iron by yourself, don't iron. It's not safe. You shouldn't be plugging appliances in anyway. And third of all, I also have a good and a not good ironing board because we came from 2 houses with 2 of everything. So we have like, so I'm using the not good stuff today. So if you use your good stuff, just be on the safe side. Just know that ahead of time, okay? All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the camera down, and hopefully this is going to work without being too ridiculous. So I'm going to flip you over, and I'm sorry, so right now just look away because I got to stand this up. So hopefully you'll be able to see. And I'm watching my camera here because I might need to bring it down a little bit. Okay. All right, so my camera is over here. So I'm going to slide you guys down just a little, down this way. And I'm just looking at where my filming is. I do apologize. I know this is like not the best, but I don't have a suspended camera. All right, so that looks like, I think we're pretty good. And I'm going to try my very, very best. And I'm going to slide this over so I can see. I'm going to try my very best not to wobble the camera, but I'm also ironing, so I'm really sorry ahead of time, okay? Let me just touch this one more time so I can bring up the comments. Oh, your Panasonic cordless. I mean, Kathy, you could, but I'm not claiming any responsibility for that, okay? All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with, this is the Nina, sorry, it's very wobbly, the Nina cardstock. Is that right? No, this is Thick Whisper White. I'm going to put my wax paper on it. I'm going to flip this, and I'm just watching myself to make sure. I'm going to flip this down so I have 2 layers over the wax paper and 2 layers under it. And then very carefully, I'm going to pick up my iron, which is very hot. Of course, it turned itself off. And I'm going to just iron over top. You don't really have to like move back and forth iron. You really more so just want the heat to transfer the wax onto the raised cobwebs. And I'm actually gonna, it's not terrifically hot. I'm gonna do this. Hold the phone for a second. Oh, now it's hot. I'm going to open this up just one less so it's not quite as much stuff. Go this way. Because I want it to be pretty hot. So you don't want it to be like steam press hot, but... So mine's on 5. There is no water in this. It's just heat. And you can see right here it's pretty hot because it's leaving the iron mark. Funny, you don't realize how wobbly irons are until you're ironing something. Can't tell if it's picking up any wax there or not. It looks like it's transferring a pattern. I'm going to try one more. Let me just crank this one more little bit. So it's the highest it can be. And I'm going to leave this just like this. Good question here. I'm not sure if you're supposed to iron microfiber because that's not looking good. Hold on here. Yep. So I'm going to have to go with my waffle marks. And I'm also going to be cleaning this off later. Let me take this. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Learn something new here every day, don't ya? Maybe somebody should have said that I shouldn't be ironing by myself. That probably is a, I'm sure right now somebody's like, yeah, maybe Rachel shouldn't be ironing. All right, so I'm going to try this again. Yeah, nothing like melting your microfiber cloth on camera. Luckily, like I said, I got those at Costco, so I have about 8,001 of them. So I'm going to hold this while I do this, so hopefully it'll stay still. I don't have an extra hand right now, or I'd swipe up to your comments because I'm sure you're probably either laughing or crying. Well, good thing the microfiber's at least coming off. All right. This one, I'm going to tell you, I can't quite tell with that one. So we're going to go on to, I know 100% this works with the glossy cardstock. So let's go into that one as number 2. So this is probably the longest part of this. We did this once before at a stamp club. Oh my gosh, I bet it was like 15 years ago. And when we did this, people thought this was like the absolute coolest thing they ever saw in all of life. And that one we didn't do with the embossing folders right away. We did that one first with just the crinkled up wax paper. All right, in the meantime, while that's sitting there, I brought my thing over a little bit. This is how crafting goes, people. That is absolutely right, Marcia. You win. Thank you. Thank you for that, right? Trial and error. And the thing is like turning off. It's like I turned it off because I left it sitting still too long. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, let's see. Oh, this one's definitely transferred. I'm going to go a little bit farther, and then what I want to do is I'm going to pick this up and show it to you so you can see just what I mean. Because you can see, one thing is, since these towels were freshly cleaned, they smell really nice. Okay. So I'm going to bring this over, or up. Ooh, let me move this so I don't have a catastrophe. And in the meantime, what I'll do is I will put this one down. See if we can get this one to transfer. Okay, I'm going to set that there. But if you look at this, and I'm hoping this shows, you can see, I'm just waiting for this me to see what I'm looking at on the camera because there's a little bit of a delay. But you can see that the underneath has a different color. And it has picked up the wax paper because the print has come off here. So you can see that on this paper when you're done. So we'll see if that one looks the same. I'm going to move this over here. And I'll move this a little bit so it realizes I'm still using it. There you go. You can see that on there. I apologize. This might be like one of the longer crafting videos you've ever watched. This one is the same. You can see that the texture has picked up finally a little bit. So I'm going to move this one off. Let that one cool. And I don't know if this is going to work with these other two. So I'm going to just try the shimmery just for the heck of it. Hi, Rhonda. Rhonda, do you remember when we did this at your house? I know I'm always like raving about this and everybody else is probably like, meh. Big deal, Rach. It's not that crazy of a thing. But we did this at Rhonda's house a long time ago. And actually, as a matter of fact, she's got the iron out. Girl, you missed it. I was ironing my microfiber, which apparently you're not supposed to do, and it came off onto the iron. That's right. That's how we roll here. Like a jelly donut. If nothing, I hope that you all got a good laugh today on your Wednesday. So hopefully you have a nice Wednesday laugh. So I'm going to just stick with these three. Come on, I'm still ironing. It keeps shutting off because it's flat for so long. Which is a good safety feature. Way to go, Black & Decker. I'm going to just do these three, and then with the other ones, we'll do something different. Because I still have that one other one left, which was, I believe, thick white. Can't wait for the rerun. You'll come back a half hour later, I'll still be ironing. Okay, so this one has done a little bit as well. All right, so we're going to move on from that. So I'm going to put this so I have these three together. So I know what these three are. Let me move this off. Okay, so it's just going to take me a minute here. I'm just going to wipe this off for a second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to flip you back up. So look away if you feel a little motion sick. There we go. So while I'm straightening up here, I'll give you something a little bit better to look at. Not me, the people behind me. So I'm just going to wipe this off just a little. Looks like most of it came off. Probably what I have to do is put a little bit of steam in just to get those extra smudgies off. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to put this here. I'm going to unplug this. Give me one sec. All right, and then we will move over to, let's see, where did I iron a hole in this? Somewhere around here. Right here. Right here. It's just a little see-through. Right here. That's okay. No biggie. All right, so I'm going to move a couple things around. So we'll make this. I have some extra papers here. We'll make this. Gosh, I don't want to put this iron too close to my Big Shot. That could be a devastating catastrophe. Move this over so I can see what all you all have to say. done with the wax paper for now, so I'll put that down here. Okay, so I'm gonna flip you back. I'm gonna walk you over here, hopefully without making anybody too sick. And now we're going to go down to the craft table and we're gonna work with what we have. So we have shimmery white. The glossy took for sure. I can totally see that one. And then we had the thick whisper white. So we have those three pieces. So I'm going to move this over here just so it's safe and out of the way. Put this here. Back my chair up. A little bit. Okay. So worst case scenario, we do at least have 3 things to use, and then we can always make more if we need to. All right, so I'm going to flip you guys down one last time. So now we're going to go to the craft desk, the table. There we go. All right, I won't be moving you anymore, I promise. So if I made you sick, I apologize. We're all finished. So we have 3. That's thick whisper white. This is glossy. And this is the shimmery white. So I don't know exactly if a lot of these took. It's kind of hard to tell. It might only work with the wax paper. I'm not really 100% sure. But what I did was I have a black, a sponge that I used black ink on. So I have black sponge. I thought of another kind of neat idea that we could do as well. So I'll show you that. So I'm going to take my black sponge, and let me use this because this black ink is very messy. So I'll do the one with the wax paper first because that's usually the most of a wow. Okay, so I'm just going to go. I don't want to press real hard because I kind of want to keep it so it goes. Hopefully you're going to see what I mean. This is definitely not a neat technique, so know that ahead of time. You could also do this direct ink to paper if you wanted to. But, so we're going to ink this up. So it's supposed to ink the background. Okay, so that's good. That was Memento. I'm going to move this over here. And then I'm going to take my messed up microfiber cloth, and what you're doing is you're wiping off the cobweb, because the cobweb actually has wax on top of it, okay? And so it's going to resist, whoops, except if you bend it, it's going to resist that ink that you just put on, and it's going to just be in the background. So here's one part, and it kind of depends because the folder does have a lot of different parts to it, so some of them, depending on how they picked up the ink, might look a little bit different, but that still looks pretty cool. So you have a shiny background. Now I'm sure there has to be somewhere else that sells glossy white cardstock, or maybe like me, you like it so much that you always buy extra so you have it. But there's that, and you got the resist. So here's another thing that I thought. So if for some reason you don't have glossy white cardstock, I thought this would be kind of another cool idea of something that you could do. Now, I don't know if it is or isn't going to work, but I'm going to try, just because I always like to at least try. I am going to crank up my heat tool. So I'll put that on in the background so it's not too loud, hopefully. And then this is the thick whisper white. So we'll just try it with this. So I'm going to take my Versamark ink pad. And, you know, I will say I'm just going to stick with clear for now because the paper's already white. So we're going to go with clear. I'm going to try not to push down too much. I'm going to try to just bring it like straight across the top. So there's one. I'm just going to rotate my whole paper so I don't touch it. I'm trying not to contaminate it. Okay, and there's the other side. Other thing I should have gotten was a coffee filter. So then I'm going to take my Versamarked thing. I probably could have, if I was doing this ahead of time, maybe you might want to embossing buddy the whole shebang, but you know, I usually think of that after the fact. Okay, so and it definitely has some on the background there. So you probably want to really, whoops, Versamark your whole background. We're going to see what this looks like. We might learn a lesson of what we should have done ahead of time. Let me close this. Turn this over. Alright, so then I'm going to get my really old paper piercer just to kind of find a spot to hold it. So I'm going to heat this. It's on high. When it's set, it will turn glossy. So this is obviously a lot of embossing powder. Okay, that looks pretty good. I think most of that is set. So you can already see under there, there's definitely some that went down to the bottom. So if you were going to do this ahead of time, what you could do is run your embossing buddy over it. But we're going to try it anyway because, you know, that's what we do here. We trial and error. I make mistakes, hopefully, so you don't have to. See how much is on here. And I'm going to try this one just for it to be a little bit darker. I'm actually going to do direct ink pad to paper for this one, okay? So I'm not going to press down real hard. I'm going to try to just roll across the cobwebs. Now the cobwebs should resist, but remember I did say we got a little bit behind there as well. So it's not going to resist as crisply as I would like it to, but work in progress. You can still do something with it. Turn this one more time. And you don't really have to do it with black too. You could do it with like a dark green, dark orange, dark purple. Okay, so we're going to be good with that one. Now I'm going to do the same thing again. Take the microfiber. And the resisting part should wipe off. So every time, whatever you do is going to look a little bit different. So there's that. So that's number 2. So this one we did with embossing powder, okay? And this one was with glossy. It does give a different finish to it because it's kind of got a pretty splotchy look, which I think is kind of neat. Now I'm going to try one other one without doing anything. I'm going to just use what we have here, okay? So this isn't going to have any resist at all. I'm going to try to just add something to it. You won't be able to wipe it off unless it's like excess ink, really. Let's try this one. So this one, just for something different, I'm going to do it in Mossy Meadow because that's a pretty dark green. So we'll try this one. So Mossy Meadow pad. Ooh, that looks cool, just like that. Now you got to remember, nothing's going to wipe off of this because there's nothing on here to resist anything, okay? And if you wanted to, you could even kind of go like different directions. Just go one other way here. There you go. So aside from this hard line that we got on that first pass, that's pretty neat as well. Now I'm going to do one thing, but I'm going to try to be really, really ginger with this because this is still going to be a little bit damp. So you have the chance of it smudging. So I'm just going to very carefully. So if you go over it, what it's doing is it's blending the color in. So if you want something that's more of a stark, whatever the color contrast is in white, leave it. If you want it to be a little bit more filled in like this side is, so we could even do that in like a couple different spots. I'm trying not to smudge it if I can help it. Wipe off a little bit here. So then you'll kind of have these parts that are filled in a little bit with color and then parts that are more stark white. We'll go a little bit here in the middle. Now this is definitely going to need some time to dry. I'll just go like this for a sec, just to absorb a little bit of the ink without smudging. So then you have that. So that's a totally different, this is just ink to paper. So we have glossy with the wax paper resist. We have thick whisper white with the embossing powder resist, and then we have just direct ink to paper. So 3 different ways you can do something with it there. I'm going to do one other one, which this one I'm going to bring the Big Shot in because I want you to be able to see this. So this is just another way that you could do this if you wanted to. One thing you want to keep in mind when you do this is you have, and this is every embossing folder, you have an embossing side and a debossing side. So I'm going to take this piece here and I will use, I think I have 4 of those Nina, so I'm going to use one of those. Yeah, because we didn't use any of that. 1, is that right? 4. All right, so there's one of those. Now what I'm going to do this time is, and I want to bring the Big Shot over so I can just run it through, is I'm going to put ink directly on here. So I'm going to put it on the Stampin' Up side first. And let's do Blackberry Bliss. And then I'm going to put my cardstock down and I'm going to run it through that way. So I have my ink pad. And this does not hurt your embossing folders. So just know that you're not going to do anything to them. You just rinse them under the sink. Worst thing you're going to do is end up with really stained fingers. And I'm trying just to get most of this. That way I don't have any pieces that don't show up color. So then I'm going to take my cardstock. I'm going to set it on the part that's clean. That way I know it's sitting exactly where I want. Fold it over to close. Try to pull my finger out without making a mess. Put my blue folder on top. And I'm going to close this because if not, I feel like I'm going to make a huge mess. And then crank it through the Big Shot. Now, you really only need to do 1 pass with this, but I'm going to do 2, just for the heck of it. And then what this is going to do is it's going to press the ink into the negative spaces. So I'll show you what I mean. Oop, have some tape that hung on there. So when you open this up, then you will have the white is where it was the embossed part. Okay, so there's one other one. So there's one more. And then I'm going to wipe this off best I can. And we're going to do the other side just so you can see what the other side will look like. Now the other side, it's going to show you that the spider webs are going to actually have the color versus the other part. Okay, so let me just finish wiping this. I'm actually even going to pull out my chamois just to get a little bit more of this off. Ideally, you would want to run this under the sink, but I don't want to make you, we've already had so much time today. I don't want to make you wait any longer. And then, okay, so now I'm going to put ink onto the back side here. So instead, let me see, let me grab one more piece. Instead, we're going to do, what do you guys think? So we have a green, we have a purple. We could do red, but I don't know. Is that a little bit much? We could do red. We could do orange. Oh, terracotta might be cool. We could do terracotta or Cajun. That's kind of like a dark Halloween-y, rusty looking color. Anybody have any suggestions? I'm going to watch just for a second and see if anybody thinks of any colors that would be really cool. So I'm just going to set this down on the opposite side for a moment. Come on, somebody has to have some opinion. Thanks for joining, Karen. Orange. All right, Karen, thank you. Karen, I got orange and Cajun. So I have Cajun, and we'll do a little bit of terracotta in it as well. So I'm going to start with the terracotta first because that's the lighter color. So I'm just going to kind of go in the center with the terracotta. And I'm going to take my Cajun and kind of go around the edge. A little bit in the center. That looks cool. Okay. So again, I'm going to put my paper onto the other side. And then I'm going to close that. I'm going to put this down. Let me just close this up real quick so I don't make a craftastrophe. All right, so I'm going to pop this in one more time, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go back and forth. Thank you guys for all the shares. I appreciate that. All the shares and everything. I know that some demonstrators are having this new something Facebook's rolling out with stars, so I'll be interested if that I get onto that bandwagon. So remember, this is the side we did the first time, so this is what's going to be the second side. So then you have those reverse spider webs, which looks really, really cool. So this is definitely going to need to be rinsed. Just rinsing under the sink should be fine. If you still notice it has a little bit of staining to it, we can always add, just bear in mind your hands are going to look really super gross. But you might want to add a little bit of Dawn dish liquid or something to it if you felt like it. But most of the stuff will rinse off. Just move this out of the way. Put this over here. So we have at least a few cards. So we have our kind of an orangey one, and you could always even go back after the fact. So say you're looking at this and you're kind of like, well, I like it, but it doesn't look exactly as Halloween-y as I want. You can always take a sponge, and you could take, oops, I put it away. Let me grab my Memento. And this is my permanent black sponge, you can see. And just go a little bit. You don't want anything super heavy, but you could kind of like accent a couple spots. So then you would have your orange and a little bit of black. Doesn't have to be all over. Doesn't have to be super dark even. Do the same thing with the green. Just kind of gives it a little bit of a creepy feel. Now, one thing about this one, because the orange is debossed into it, so you can actually see it sticking out on this side. So the black is going onto the, it would be otherwise the negative, but this time it's the positive. On this one, it's going to kind of cover up some of your black. So you want to be careful with how much you're going to put when you've done it with the cobwebs being the opposite direction. So we'll just put like a little bit into the web there. Okay, so bunch of different things you can do. So let me wipe this little mess up here. And then actually use my chamois just to wet this a little bit. My Easy Clean mat, even though it still does clean, is becoming a little bit stained. I was considering getting a new glass mat, but I figured, well, while it still works, might as well use it. So again, this one we just did direct ink to paper for these three. And then this one we used glossy cardstock with wax paper resist. This one we used thick whisper white with a clear embossing powder resist. So you still can get lots of different things. I will tell you, I think my favorites are, I really like the glossy. I know we don't have glossy, so that's kind of hard. The Mossy Meadow I like a lot, but I like this reverse look. So I like the really dark purple, which this was Blackberry Bliss with the white. I think it's very striking because you can tell the difference. But something about this with it being debossed, I really like this as well. I think the Mossy looks really nice as well also. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to try at least make a couple into these. So I don't know how many we'll be able to finish, but we'll at least do a couple. So I'm going to trim these down. So I'm going to do 5 by 3 3/4. Nice part is though, if you do this, you can even, I think that one might already be 5. Yep. You can even do like a bunch of different backgrounds, let them dry, and then you would have like a whole grouping of little Halloween cards that you could send out already, which would be kind of cool. And they could be all different. And nobody would really know. I really do like this Blackberry Bliss one. I think it's because it's such a dark, dark purple. It's just a really cool looking color. Okay, so let's see. How about if we grab what this will look like if we did it on here because of the blackberry and the black. That looks pretty cool. But I feel like it still might need like some other little layer. So maybe we'll do like a layer of, I don't know what black would look like on there. Let's see. So 5 1/4 by 4. Let's just see. Blackberry Bliss. Everybody likes that one, huh? There we go. That looks really cool. I like that one a lot. All right, so I'm going to try one more. Let's see. Grab another piece of... Luckily, I just got another package of black cardstock because I had about 3 sheets left. That was it. All right, so we have 4. There's those 2. And I'm going to do one since we have it out. Mossy. And what is... I'd rather do Cajun. Sorry, I'm over here talking myself through something. I'm going to do Cajun. I was originally thinking terracotta, but I went Cajun instead. Okay. And that one was mossy. And what I'm going to do is, so I have this, but I wanted to do one of these, the glossy one. I'm going to do that. So I'm going to do these 3. And, oh, Granny Apple Green would be nice too, because even though that's bright, you could also kind of dirty it up with some black ink. Make it have like that kind of cobwebby look. So one other thing I'm going to suggest to you, since you're doing this with, that big paper cutter is a Tim Holtz guillotine cutter. And I like it a lot because I cut a lot of stuff and the blade stays really sharp. You want to use a liquid glue on anything that you put as an emboss layer because it's got a lot of grooves in it. Normally, one other thing, I would typically cut something out of this and then maybe I could use it for the inside, but just because I'm trying to be a little bit quick because I know this was a very time-consuming video today. All right, so there's that one. I should have scored this, but I didn't first, so. And I'm hoping, I had to order a new phone. Oh my goodness, my phone, I hope it makes it till this phone gets delivered. Sometimes it doesn't ring. Sometimes it'll tell me I had a call like however many hours ago. Oh, that's crooked, hold on. So I'm really excited to have a phone that actually will tell me when people call. Straight, my background card was crooked. All right, so there's one, and this one was the glossy. Is this right? Hold on, I'm just making sure. Yeah, this was the wax paper, glossy cardstock wax paper resist. So same thing again. I'm just putting this. So I ended up trimming these all of the cobwebs down to 3 3/4 by 5. And then I put them on a piece of black that was 4 by 5 1/4. And then the base, this one I didn't score either. It's funny because sometimes I'll watch people and they'll score stuff when they're doing videos, because I watch a lot of card videos as well. And it always looks so easy. There's always, turns out they never have these like wrinkly pieces like I do. I don't know. They must have magic fingers. Clearly, I do not. Okay, and then this one was the one where we actually used the other side. And we used the combination of terracotta and Cajun Craze. So for this one, same thing, because you have the spider webs that are actually sticking up, you definitely want to make sure you get a good amount of glue on here so it sticks. This one probably will actually stick better than the other ones because of where the glue hits. There you go. And then black. And the other thing that we had quite a while ago, and I'm going to have to dig that card out and take a picture of it and post it on my blog when I put these pictures on there later. We used to have black flocking. I don't know if you guys remember that or not. And we had a spider, or a big fuzzy spider, and I have him. So I'm going to have to take a picture of that because that one was a really fun card as well. So I think you could do anything where even you did like the trick or treat. So we could do something like that. Or for one. Okay. And I'm going to just do this in black. This must be the one that's the not super wet one. Yep. Probably also because I did all that ink to paper. Sucked up a lot of the ink. All right, there's one. So I'm going to let this dry for a sec. And grab something else over here. What else do we have on this one? Move this over here. We could do... It's not a trick, it's just a treat. And I honestly picked this one because I want to see if this fits into that other punch that goes with this stamp set. And what else do we have? Now, if you wanted to, you can even do this on the inside. Do this on the inside of the card and stamp this guy. So I'm going to stamp this little spider, which I haven't used him yet. There's another spider on the other stamp set that I use, but I'm going to do this. And I'm going to see if I can potentially... fussy cut him, we'll see. All right, that's pretty good. Okay, so let me close this up. I just want to grab the punch that coordinates with this here. I want to see if what that looks like. So this is a bundle. It's a new bundle in the catalog, and this punch could punch out any of these little guys here. Let's see, this might need to be cut off just a little. Hopefully I didn't get too crazy with my cutting there. Now, granted, you don't have to keep this shape, but it does kind of lend nicely to that. I wanted to see if this one fit, though. So I'm going to actually do this one the opposite way. And then I'm going to cut him out. So this punch goes together with this stamp set, Everything Essential, and it punches out all of these different stamps. I can't wait to use it for the pumpkin. I know I've said that a couple times now, but I really still can't wait. So this guy we're going to pop up on dimensionals. This one I'm going to try to fussy cut and put him up on a dimensional just since he's on the spider. We'll see what we can get to this. I'm going to try to trim him pretty close. Thank you guys for sticking with me. I know this has been a little bit longer of a video today, but hopefully maybe you learned something new. Maybe you learned a new way to do something. Maybe you just had a good laugh. Whatever. Hopefully you enjoyed our time together today. Let's see if I can get this one. Just want to trim him just a teeny bit. Doesn't have to be precise. There we go. That's not so bad. He wasn't too hard to fussy cut. I know he does have a little teeny bit more white than I normally would like, but let me see if I can go down just a little bit on this. A little bit around his head. That way he'll kind of stick out a little bit. So we just have to decide which one we want to put him in with. And then we have our trick or treat, and I'm going to pop those guys up on dimensionals just for the heck of it. Just gonna cut this in half, just using the end of this sheet. One there. Same with this one. I'll just put a couple here. I think that's good. And I need just a little bit of teeny stuff for my little tiny spider. So for him, I might have to just rely on the bottom to hold him up. Let's see. Put one over here. And one, where's that other half? Here it is. Over here. And if you wanted to, you could put a little strip there, but I'm not going to worry about that. So the only other thing I'm going to do, actually this kind of could look like a little bit of a crazy tombstone, really. Him. Yeah, this one needs a little bit of something. This one I'm going to outline in red just to make it stick out. So I'm going to go around the edge in red. And the funny thing is I kind of like this punch really either direction. I think it has a different look depending on what you want to do. One other thing I'm going to do with this, since it's a teeny bit more dry now, is I'm going to use my Daffodil Delight. And very carefully, because I don't want to get too much black, is I'm going to color in the windows. So if you ever use a light colored marker where you've been near black, before you close it up, you could just take your marker and, where is the scrap piece? Right here. Just kind of scribble it. Make sure you don't have any black on there. That way if you do, it'll come off on a piece of paper. So just did that, which is a little bit of something fun. And then for the sign, we'll just go with a little bit of Highland Heather. And I'm going to just add just a little bit. Of course, this probably would have been smarter to do this before I put the dimensionals on it. But live and learn, right? Nope, and I just smudged that with my finger. Okay, so now since I smudged it, I gotta kind of do the rest of it, which will give it a little bit more color anyway. Speaking of trick-or-treating with this whole corona, goodness, I hope we're going to be able to do something like that. I know my son will be disappointed, but I really would be massively disappointed if we don't end up with any trick-or-treating. That will make me so sad. I love Halloween. And I believe it's Janet. Is Janet's birthday is Halloween? I can't remember. I feel like it's Janet's. So we'll just put that there. It's for something different for that one. Our little spider. Just going to take these two off. You could always go around the edge of this if you wanted to get rid of the white with your basic gray marker and kind of outline the edge of it just like I did with that one. We'll just put him over here like that. We have him. And then this guy, I feel like he needs a little bit of green, so I'm going to add some old olive to this. Should try to keep my dirty fingers off of here so I don't smudge it. This one we'll put over here. Trick. It's not a trick. It's just a treat. So there are at least 3 cards that we were able to finish up today. So I hope you guys enjoyed the time together. I enjoyed my time with you all immensely because I just want you to know I haven't washed my hair in 2 days, which I don't know if that makes me sound terrible. That's fine. But I washed and dried my hair because I knew I was going to see you guys today and we were going to do some face-to-face time. And that made me happy. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you like all these. Let me pull the rest of these out so you can see the other ones that we did. So we also have our just basic Mossy Meadow, and then this one was the embossing powder. So one other thing you could try if you wanted to, and I have one here just to show you, but you could always use your embossing buddy to kind of cut down on the static, because if you run your embossing buddy over this entire image, what it's going to do is it's going to prevent the powder from sticking to the crevices a little bit. Okay, so then what you would do, so even though it's going to do it to the whole thing, however, you're going to have direct ink contact with the top layer of CobWeb. So as long as you run this along like we did before and you run it straight across, it should just stick to the white, and then your background back here, these larger pieces, they would actually should be able to take the ink. So if you haven't done this yet, so if you're doing this maybe after the fact, if you're going to go back and watch it and try again, try doing this with the embossing buddy first. So just after you run it through, or even you could put it on before you ran it through the embossing folder. And that might cut down on a little bit of your static down there. So hopefully, you never know. But always lots of fun ideas. You could always just even sponge this entire thing if you wanted to instead. Just use your sponge and sponge it. Will be a little bit different of an idea. You probably could also, even if you really want to take it to the next level, you could even take your markers and color it on the inside, which would be kind of cool. So lots of different ideas there for you guys today. Hopefully you will at least recreate one or two of them. I appreciate if you guys do, because it makes me feel good that I have inspired you to be creative in some way. Thank you guys so very, very much for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, and I will try to meet up again with you guys sometime this week. I don't know what day exactly. And also, I am going to, like I said, I'm going to try to do a test of running the YouTube and the Facebook Lives simultaneously. So when I do that, I'm just going to basically kind of do it for like an interactive to make sure that there's not any feedback or anything like that. So if you guys are able to join me, I'd appreciate it, because the more people who can pop on and let me know if something does or doesn't sound good, works a little bit better. Also, one other thing for the festive corners, this would be a great addition to the inside of these cards. You could add the cobweb, the spooky, the spider, lots of fun stuff for that as well. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see you again real soon.